All right. Welcome to my FX Buddies, the podcast. And I say podcast because there are multiple mediums on which you can enjoy this content. Yay! And there is the best way, and there is a reason you might want to go to the blog today, because Indonesia, I hardly ever get articles about Indonesia. It's not about the rate change, but they are saying that they are working on their digital Rupiah, and not just digital Rupiah, but it goes into detail about blockchain and the ledger. So, but they say they won't be ready until 2030, and I don't know if I believe that, but look, we're almost to 2026. We are, 62 days away? Something like that. For 2026. I lost track. So we're not that far from 2030, right? But anyway, and you know the drill for those of you who don't want to see the other articles. The one about Indonesia is at the very bottom of the blog. So you would go to the blog, which, to find the best way to get there, look for a prompt of more info, intro, description, something of that nature. You click on that, and then you'll either see the direct link, the HTTPS, all that stuff, or it'll say link to my FX Buddies, and you click that. And you'll be there, and it's free. You don't have to put your email address in, and I'm not selling anything. All right. And another benefit of going to the blog is the complete article is there with a link to the original article in Arabic. So you can't tell me that I made this information up, or you can't argue with me because it's not word of mouth from someone else's mouth. It is Iraq's news that they are showing to their citizens. All right. Okay. So even though this is news for Sunday, November 2nd, it's going to post for the 3rd because, it's Sunday and I do what I do on Sunday, and sometimes I get a little behind, and I don't want to wait until tomorrow because who knows what tomorrow's going to say. Plus, there's more football on tomorrow. So, right? Why put off today what you can do? Well, it's actually already tomorrow here. So yes, I'm speaking a little softer. Hopefully, though, I'm right up on the microphone. Everything is up. All the levels are up. So you should be able to hear just fine. All right, so let's get into it. So, this was it wasn't everywhere, but it was out there. Okay, it's not on the CBI site unless it shows for Monday, but Sunday, which is the first working day of the week, you would have thought an article this important, in my opinion, for the banking reform, right, would be on the CBI site, but it was not at the time I started recording this. Okay. Iraq's global banking turning point. Reform with Oliver Wyman begins. But that's my title, right? The title of the article is actually The Central Bank Sets a Plan for Banking Reform. All right? The Central Bank of Iraq has identified several key points. Oh, here, let me make it larger for those on mobile devices. The Central Bank of Iraq has identified several key points for the banking reform plan it agreed upon with the global firm Oliver Wyman, while a financial expert explained that the plan includes 4 main aspects. So let's see, the central bank spokesman, and all of a sudden we're starting to see him, right? Because I think if Aaliyah Locke is somewhere else, maybe out of the country, or he's speaking, then they settle for the spokesman for the CBI. he said, this plan is the most important strategy undertaken by the CBI to develop the financial and banking sector in Iraq in cooperation with the global company Oliver Wyman. The plan is about digital and electronic transformation, diversifying the base of financial inclusion, and moving away from paper transactions so that local banks will be at a level comparable to global and regional banks. This plan needs time. We don't like that, but we know they could start as soon as possible and continue, right? Continue to work. And like I just said, the Rupiah, they said they'll be up and running with their digital Rupiah by 2030, which is 3 years, right? 4 years. It's because I'm looking 2026, right? If we're already in 2026, which a lot of businesses already are. They're already talking as if 2025's gone and they're in 2026. All right? So don't freak out about the 3 to 5 years. I'm not. So, okay, he explained that the turning point is the opening of a branch of the Arab Bank in Baghdad, which happened last week, right? Which is evidence of competition in the local, Arab, regional, and international banking sector. This will ensure that banks in Iraq are on par with those in the UAE and Saudi Arabia. Implementing this in cooperation with the global company will enable these banks to operate at a world-class level of financial services, improve their quality, develop human resources, and implement technological transactions and cybersecurity within a comprehensive plan for technological, financial, and banking reform and development in Iraq. For his part, the financial expert Mahmoud Dagher stated that the banking system always needs review and reform, which has become essential after many negative aspects affected its performance. And why would we listen to him? He used to work for the CBI. In fact, okay, this one doesn't show his previous title. So, yeah, so this is a little long, but you could start reading. I mean, you can read this. Okay, here's the last paragraph. The financial expert explained that what is important is what will happen at the beginning of next year. We don't like that, right? We don't want to hear that, but it is what it is. And we don't know if he's talking about the rate change, right? The financial expert explained that what is important is what will happen at the beginning of next year in terms of applications, smoothness, and incentives from the central bank, which is leading the reform process, and the response process from the banks participating in this banking reform, which ends in 2028. So, yeah. So there that is. It's, it is what it is. I'm still going with this is New Rate November, right? I'm still proclaiming it, whether it happens or not. But, yeah. They can't put out a date, right? Because they know the world's watching, and it would be irresponsible. Plus, they put out dates, and those dates come and go anyway, right? So, what's the point? Okay, so here's a shorter version. Central Bank developing a global plan to reform Iraqi banks in agreement with Oliver Wyman. And it basically says the same thing, just the key points of several key points. Global company, Oliver Wyman. The turning point was opening the branch of Arab Bank, which puts it on par with United Emirates and Saudi Arabia. I'm thinking it says the technological stuff. Yeah, see? Develop human resources, so they do need time for training. They're moving them awfully fast, right? They're still trying to get everyone to get an account with a card. They're only like halfway through the amount of adults, right? Even though they do go down to 12 years old, the major focus is the adults, right? I don't know why that central bank is there. There was 3 other words. I was able to delete the other ones, but I couldn't delete that one, so ignore it. Okay, this was the really big story. This was the one that was out everywhere. Clearly they want all the citizens to see this. An expert, 90 trillion dinars are hoarded by Iraqis and do not reach the banks. And there's nothing new here. Here's again with Mahmoud Dagher. He revealed on Sunday that the amount of cash held by the public is in quotation marks, is estimated at about 90 trillion dinars out of a total of 98 trillion dinars, is the size of the cash mass in Iraq. So Dagher, who previously served as director at the Central Bank of Iraq, so I think he knows what he's talking about, right? He says the public does not only mean the people, but also the merchants, contracting companies, and the industrialists, explaining that Iraqis hoard money, H-O-A-R-D, money instead of depositing it in banks, because our society likes to deal in cash and needs a long time to get used to electronic payment methods. So I think that's another reason why they roll out these things for 2-3 years, because they know they still need to convince the public. So it's difficult to manage that money. It affects inflation also. And because there's money supply, they know there's money supply, but it's not circulating, right? So here's another version, same person, but another version. And I think there's one more, yeah. And this was in a publication that goes to the central and southern parts. Okay, and you see that one's a little longer. It's just because they put different words in there, right? So since you're not moving your money, it affects interest rate. The rediscount becomes less effective, while banks suffer from a shortage of liquidity. So yeah, so I just wanted you to see that was definitely information they wanted the citizens to see, right? Now, this is Jamal Cougar. His name is, again, spelled wrong. Differently, let me say. But he says, and who is he? He used to be the head of the Parliamentary Finance Committee. Now he's just a member of the Parliamentary Finance Committee. So he's not just an economist or a financial expert. He knows numbers. He's seen budgets. He's been through more than one budget. All right. This is what he's saying today. Iraq's economic concerns are not serious, and the new government will overcome them. When's the new government take place? Way at the end of December or early 2026. So I know no one else, well, I shouldn't say I know because I don't listen to all the people you guys listen to. And I did watch, Frank had like a 25-minute video. Yeah, so I was able to watch that. But I mainly focus on what? Articles. So if you're new to me, if this is your first time listening, I'm not a rate and date person. I don't have contacts. I don't have boots on the ground. this is the articles that I run in Iraq to the citizens of Iraq. All right? And I've been doing this for years, some years. And if you go to the blog, it will show you, ooh, way up here. Oh, and you know what? See, 2015. I've been doing this since 2015. But also, let me show you really quick about that coin. The coin that I've talked about, and I will put a link to, because like I said, now November's gone. This blog link won't show. But so this is from the creator. So now we're in pre-sale. Pre-sale, the cost of the coin is 0.0005 per coin. And if you join through my link, you get an extra 5,000 coins. And that will last until November 15th. Then they'll be in the public pre-sale launch, and the cost of the coin will go to 0.001. Alright? And then he has right here, if you understand this terminology, smart wallet development contract, he's going to list on DEX and CEX, right? Pancake swap, Uniswap. It'll be under the DAO governance platform. And then he gives a scenario about get in with $30 at 0.0005 and the possibilities of if it goes to 5 cents once it gets publicly listed, right? So that's an addition. This is new information that's on the blog. All right. So that's just for those interested. If you're not, fine. No problemo. Okay, so let's get back to where we left off, which was, oh, yeah, if you'd like to support my FX buddies, buy me a coffee will be a live link when this blog is live, and Cash App is always live, and PayPal. I'm Tishwash on PayPal, and $Tishwash and Cash App, big or small. I appreciate it all, and thank you in advance for your generosity. Alright, and I got another download, Istanbul, Turkey. Welcome, Istanbul, Turkey. That's from RSS.com, where they download the video or something is there. I know the audio's there for certain, but the reason I did it was you can get a transcript there, and it's a very good transcript, and it's free, and they probably put that in their language. But anyway, alright, so now, where they're still talking about the envoy, Trump's I just said it. The U.S. President's envoy to Iraq begins his work by replacing military bases with investments. And here, so I'm guessing this is his office in Iraq, and I'm thinking Sadani went to visit him. This picture should look familiar. Well, if you watched the previous edition, and why didn't you? Don't worry if you missed it. When this video ends, a little square is going to pop up, and you could click it, and it'll play the last edition for you, which was good because there was, what was in there? Oh, there's a freight quote from China to Iraq. Yeah, so they're doing business. And something else on this website in Barcelona. So you could check that out. But anyway, so yeah. Now, there is a change in this. Okay, this is long. This is a longer article, but, here they're talking about major U.S. deals, but, okay, I don't think it's in here. So, there is no, that's not it here. Atlantic Council. I haven't read this yet, so it may be worth reading, it may not. But it just came somehow. I just discovered it today, but it's been out since October 28th. So I'm going to read this tonight, and if it's worth it, I'll put a link or whatever or talk about it tomorrow. But this is the title. U.S. energy firms are returning to Iraq, but politics could undo their fortunes, right? So I thought that was interesting when what he's talking about, or what this article is talking about. Baghdad is trying to capitalize on the return of all these oil companies, right? The American companies on the economy. But have these investments ended the stagnation of the past decade? And he says partially, yes, if their conditions are met. So here's 3 key obstacles: the dollar issue and compliance, continued U.S. Treasury restrictions. So there's a difference between a sanction, a Treasury sanction, and a restriction. Neither of them are good, right? But a restriction is not, like if there were still sanctions, they would, Citibank and the other banks that are currently selling dinar right now, today, they could not be selling it if there were Treasury sanctions. But the reason every bank is not selling it is because there's still restrictions, right? Okay, so I hope that helps. That's a question some people have. I hope that helps. So the restrictions on Iraqi banks make financial stability a prerequisite for any investment expansion. Security stability, Savaya statements. That's Mark Savaya, the envoy, right? Link economic partnership to the state's monopoly on the use of force, meaning that the security environment remains a crucial factor, and the legal framework. Projects hinge on stable contracts and financing, which had been hampered, right? Previously been hampered by withdrawal. So he's there to handle all of that. The influx of the American companies, right? Stabilizing security, financial, and legal environment, which would be a new chapter in the U.S.-Iraqi partnership after a decade of stagnation. All right, so now here's another one, but look at this. This says 3 key tasks of the agenda of the envoy to Iraq, which his name is what? Mark Savaya, but here again, his name is spelled differently. So, keeping away the neighbors' influence, right? They have to do something with this popular mobilization force. But look at this. The foremost of his work is not renewing the work contracts of Chinese oil companies. That's the first time we've seen, at least that's the first time I've seen that. So, let me say that. Yeah, so that was interesting. Okay, we're almost done. Washington seeks to influence the shape of the next Iraqi government. So that's this guy. He's a political analyst. But remember I said they're not being shy or coy or quiet about it. It's a well-known fact. We're over there electioneering, right? That's what I call it. Yeah. So, but if you read this, this particular guy, what is his name? I'm not going to say his first name. Okay, but, al-Assad, he said sending a special U.S. envoy to Iraq at this time is not a routine step, but rather comes within an American move to address sensitive political issues before the Iraqi elections, noting that the presence of the envoy, Savaya, reflects Washington's desire to directly influence the shape of the next government. So yeah, then he lists some instances where we've done that before, and I don't particularly want to say those country names either. But yeah, he just says it's not a coincidence. They chose him because they chose Mark Savaya because he has a wide network of relations with the Iraqi parties, and he has previously dealt with the file of releasing that spy. No, I'm just kidding. But the lady, Elizabeth Turloff, I think was her name, which makes him qualified to manage complex files. So there's a little bit more to that, but we're getting down to the time, and I want to spend time. Here's an article about the gas investment, and yes, they had more, $9 billion, I think, of revenue and all of that, but they keep announcing that, and it just upsets the citizens. They're like, okay, yeah, you keep telling us you're making all this money with oil, but what about us? We want to eat too, right? So then this was an interesting article, and it's kind of long as well. Again, it's focusing on all the American companies that have come into Kurdistan. Oh, look at that, the Atlantic Council report. So maybe it is worth reading. So, and that's what they do. They'll read that report and then they'll rewrite it. Yeah, so I liked this. It talks about let me see. I don't really want to say, but this part right here, which I thought I had bolded. So it was warned that the elections in November will be a chaotic government formation circus. I don't think it's going to be, though, because, well, we're there, but they have several, not just the UN vote watchers, election watchers, whatever they call them. Sadani invited 12 different organizations. That is their focus. They make sure elections are fair and, what's the other word? Free and fair. Now, I don't know how many of them took up his offer. So, and then they already know not that many people are going to vote, right? So, yeah. Yeah, so we'll see. And what else? A political gamble. Sudani has created, so this is the final paragraph. But you know what, like I said, I'm going to skip that because some of you guys don't really care about that anyway. This was another kind of big story. It'll probably be in the news tomorrow as well. The Development Fund signs 5 Memorandum of Understandings with foreign countries. And this is separate from the other thing they did that was 4 countries, right? So they're just moving right along, signing MOUs. What are they waiting for? They're gonna establish an Iraqi American investment fund, explaining that there will be a trip to America soon to turn the project into reality. All right, now here. Bank Indonesia to issue digital Rupiah, digital version of SRBI. I don't know what that is. But, Let's see. And this was so hard to copy and paste. Securities. Maybe that's what it is right here. Securities. Secure Rupiah, maybe, of Bank of Indonesia. I don't know. So this article right here, if you click this link, it's going to come up in Indonesia. Indonesian, or whatever language they speak. And good luck with that. Okay? It was very frustrating. So see, look, I spaced these out. But towards the end, I was like, I'm not spacing that out anymore. So that's why this is all jammed together. But, so if you want to read the full article, there it is. So the first phase will start in 2025. So they've already started through 2026. It will focus on experimentation with the use cases of issuing, transferring, and withdrawing digital securities on the securities ledger. And here, distributed ledger technology ecosystem. That is cryptocurrency. That is blockchain. All right. And here they have an overnight index swap. Yeah. So if you're into crypto and all of that, you might want to read that. And it's at the bottom of the blog again. All right. So how about a thumbs up? Have you hit the thumbs up button yet? How about a thumbs up button for this? But anyway, yeah, it doesn't mention anything about a rate. I wish it did. But so this one that I have here, a shorter, less chaotic version. Indonesia plans digital version of Rupiah for financial market. Now, if you click this will come up in English. Okay? But that's what I like to give you the original. Alright, because people question everything. So, yeah. See? Rupiah Digital will be built on distributed ledger technology according to the central bank's payment system blueprint. So they probably have a white paper and everything, right? Yeah. So we're moving there. Everyone's moving that way, whether I like it or not. All right. So thank you. I thank you. Thank you. We're over 30 minutes. I apologize. What? Accumulate while we wait for the rate to appreciate. Don't miss any meals. Pay all your bills. I appreciate all the encouraging words that you give me. It helps me to continue. Because some of these people on YouTube are brutal, man. But, yeah. Alright. Enjoy the rest of your morning, night, noon, whatever time frame you're indulging in this content. And until Monday.